thank you for being on the podcast. We'll go straight into it. How did you get into Status Quo?
I got into Quo when I was about 2 or 3, mainly because of my dad being a fan since he was about 40. He sort of started Quo when they were just coming to an end around Marquis time, so 83, 84 time. That's when he got, and then he's passed it on to my brother, so we're both into Quo now.
Yeah, we've got some slight delay on the line, but we'll work our way through it. Can you tell our listenership, our viewership, how old you are?
I'm 22.
You're 22 years old, so you are a Quo fan of a certain age. I'm 32, so I'm 10 years older than you. What is it like at the age of 22 being a Quo fan, knowing there's all that history back there, and at times they're not the coolest band around?
I think it's going back to that thing that, they've said in interviews before that people perceive, the stupid idea, the free chord wonder thing, and, now to play chords, which obviously is, rubbish. But I think it's that thing that they've said before, that the fans, they're loved by their fans. They're very unpopular, but they are popular with the fan base they've got. And I think it's one of those things, people almost, they're a bit ashamed to say that they like Quo, but I think they're a band, especially, when you see them live and like rocking all over the world, or, some of the classics. I think it would be very hard for people to stand and say that, they haven't enjoyed themselves. Or I think everybody who goes to a Quo concert comes out with a smile on their face.
I think so. So you are, as well as being a Quo fan, you're a singer-songwriter. I've been listening to some of your music. It's very, if I might say, heavily Quo influenced. But I would say, actually, if you look a little bit deeper, do you have kind of a thing for Francis Rossi's songwriting in particular?
I think so. Probably, yeah. I mean, I think everybody's, how they write or how they, when I create music, everybody's unique, because it depends really all what your creativity comes from, what you've heard from around you. So not everybody's going to listen to the same kind of music. As like in Quo, like the Eagles as well, and different other bands as well. I think it's a combination of them all coming together, which makes unique sound. But Francis thing, that I probably would say yes, that I'm very influenced by Rossi, by Francis, and I have had people comment that to me before. I don't think when people inspired by somebody, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. When people can hear that, it shows that you're taking an interest in them, and that you look up to them. And I've always been in awe of Quo, and I think that's probably why I wanted to start learning to play the guitar and make my music. So I thought when I was younger, I thought I wanted to be like them, up on stage playing in front of people. The sort of Francis' mindset and the music he likes and the way he plays, I think it's quite unique, which we know, and it's just something that I happen to like. I enjoy playing his kind of music, and I share a lot of his values, and something he likes listening to, like he likes Eagles and stuff as well. And ELO and people like that.
Yeah, well, as I say, there's definitely, as you point out, an influence there. And why not? There is nothing wrong in that. Your album is called No Nonsense. You are playing pretty much every instrument on the album. Is that right?
Yeah, I have a bit of backing vocals from a friend of mine. But apart from that, everything you hear on the album is me.
Wow. I mean, that takes some some doing. I mean, have you taken time to kind of learn each instrument? Because I can hear keyboards in there. There's guitar, drums. I mean, that's a lot of dedication.
Yeah, I started playing the guitar. Then it was not long after Leon joined that I remember seeing them on the when Leon, after he just joined, and I liked his style of playing. I thought he brought a real new, fresh, um, almost a bit. His kit had a bit more sort of warmth, like a bit like Pete Kirsch had quite a bit of bit behind it, and I think that's why I decided that I wanted to sort of just play around playing drums. I mean, I've never had any lessons or anything. It's just wanted to play, and I wanted to make my music and learn as much as I can. I think it's that passion that sort of drives you to want to learn things. I mean, there's a lot more different instruments I'd like to learn, and I don't think there's really any sort of boundaries in where you can go.
Well, no, Quo themselves have played all kinds of instruments other than the main ones. Obviously, there's a sitar on Baby Boy from Rockin' All Over the World. Just one example of how they've pushed those boundaries. So let's go back to Quo for a moment. You have been to quite a few gigs. Which was your first?
My first was New Theatre 2006. I was 6 at the time. I was just by my parents, and it was really good.
I mean, that was something of a golden period live. I saw them first time in 2007. A wicked show, just really good. That would have been the Just Doing It tour, right?
Yeah, that was right. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, probably Just Doing It live is, like you say, it was a really good live period after Rick just coming back, and the DVD has always been a favourite. Just a great live sound.
Definitely, and something that many tribute bands build upon, which is something I learned when I started doing this podcast. I talk to tribute bands, and they tell me, "Oh, we watched the Just Doing It DVD, and we try and kind of model ourselves after that." So it's definitely one of the best releases I think that they've done on DVD. Do you have a favorite album? Because obviously, at the age of 22. The album that would have come out when you were born was Famous in the Last Century. Somewhere, yeah. or Under the Influence, depending on when your birthday is. But do you have a favourite album?
Yeah, as you said, it would have been, I think that same year, Under the Influence had just come out just before I was born. I was born in February. I've got favourites, but I like all because they all have their own. Well, I mean, I've been a fan for quite a few years, and I'm actually looking at it now because with my phone, I've got it balanced with Quo albums, so I'm looking at them now, and I'm looking at Thirsty Work, which people, it's one of those that I think it's a bit like Marmite, you either love it or you hate it, and I think the production and the set, yes, it is a little bit more polished, but it's still, I think it stood the test of time in the fact of, with one of my other favourite albums, maybe my favourite album being In Search of the Fourth Chord. Just at the time, it had a very fresh feel. Obviously, Pip Williams being a great producer. I think Francis said before that it had shading, that had its darker moments, but it's more brighter moments, where you had stuff like Begin I Don't Want to Hurt You Anymore, which is more Quo, but one of my favourite Quo tracks of all time being Pennsylvania Blues Tonight, which is something quite different to what they've done before. But then, like stuff like my favourite albums, and Pile Driver being up there. So I could, a Backbone. I mean, I like a lot of there's some great tracks on there. I think are up there with some stuff that they've ever done. Probably say it would be In Search of the Fourth Chord, but I think there's for pretty much every album that they've got something.
Yeah, I think so. Did you? I apologize, it cut out slightly there, but did you mention Thirsty Work at the beginning?
I did, yes.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite albums. Tin Hat firmly on. There's something so musical about it. They go places on that record that they haven't been before or since. And I think it was Rhino, he said in the Party Ain't Over Yet documentary, some amazing songs on there, all great songs, but all completely wrong for Quo. Pretty much. I think that was, I'm paraphrasing, but that is the gist, isn't it? We'll wind down a little bit here, but are you working on any new music? Are you planning on another album to follow No Nonsense?
Yeah, I'm. It's one of those things that sort of for No Nonsense material been sat around for a couple of years, and originally when I was sort of planning the album and sort of trying to piece it together, it started off as more of a deeper bluesy album, and I sort of it was halfway through the idea and scrapped the idea because it just wasn't sitting right. And then I did some more songwriting, and it became apparent that it was so I took ideas from the blues album and incorporated it into more of the harder rock album than it is, sort of a bit more Quo influence. But I am hoping to make some more music in the future, whereas like the thing we were saying about Thirsty Word, that it's sort of a bit more that they branched out a bit more. I like with the thing with France said before about Andy Bound, some people criticised and they had a lot of complaints rocking all over the world, but I think you can only do the same thing for so long before people start thinking it's just it's the same thing again. I mean, it's like with the acoustic album. I mean, I'm a big fan of the acoustic stuff. I think it was obviously massively successful, and it had great reviews because for the previous years it was okay. Quo's got a new album out, which obviously the fans get excited about. But for the music press, if you like, when they hear Quo's doing an acoustic album, people start to take notice. And I think that was almost a period where they sort of brought themselves back into the spotlight, and for good reason as well. I saw them, probably one of the best shows I've seen them do, actually, at the Royal Albert Hall gig in 2017. Down Dignified, and the atmosphere, and I mean the venue alone is just incredible. Such a nice venue, and that's definitely up there with one of the best Quo gigs I've been to. The atmosphere and it was just amazing. So yes, so I'm hoping to broaden out my musical genre. That I saw something again the other day by a quote from John Lennon from the Beatles, saying that he said the Beatles never sort of stuck to one genre, and we were more than one genre. I think to restrict yourself, you're making it harder for yourself, and sometimes it's nice. Sometimes you do it and you go, I won't go there again, or maybe that worked. I can take it towards the future. It's sometimes you've got to learn from your mistakes musically, and then you go, okay, well, maybe we'll try something different, or I'll try something different. And I think that's kind of, me doing it all myself as a solo musician. Maybe Francis feels that same way as well, when doing some of his solo music, that, or even any solo artist that's come from a band, that they feel like that they can maybe do stuff that they wouldn't have done with, even like Rhino is getting the same. There's some stuff that he does that he wouldn't do with Quo, but he likes to do. So, I think music has no boundaries. It can sort of go anywhere, really.
Definitely. Speaking of the acoustic thing and Francis solo music, he's doing an acoustic tour next year. He's doing over 100 dates, which is incredible. And certainly, what with his social media, which is doing stuff I've never seen him do before, a little bit more of a glimpse into his actual life and world away from Quo. Are you going to any of those acoustic gigs? Because you're in Guernsey. Are you planning on travelling anywhere to see it?
Yeah, I'm going to two next year. I've been to a date each on the previous two speaking tours, which were great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. With him being with Andy Brooks, doing the acoustic thing. Interested to see what sort of songs he's going to play, because it says that it's some not before perform live tracks. So be interested to see, because Francis, obviously, there's when he's done his solo stuff, he's done probably not the stereotypical rocking all over the world, and he's sort of ventured out to more album tracks, which I'd like to see Quo do, like when something like 20 Wild Horses. I was listening to that the other day, and reading the comments, people say great track, good Quo, and it was good to see.
I do remember that Francis did the One Step at a Time tour, and he did do a lot of album tracks, including 20 Wild Horses, as you say. He has something of a fondness for that era. In fact, that era of Quo, which is just before you were born, was again another almost golden period, even if it wasn't commercially successful. I'm interested to see where they go with that acoustic thing. What a show it is likely to be. So your album No Nonsense is available on Spotify. It's all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's on your usual streaming services. I got some videos on YouTube. So there's also a track on there, a single I did a while ago, which my signature track now. It's called My Little Ray of Sunshine. I released it back 2019. I sort of, even the title, I'm sort of a bit like, it sounds a bit I don't know, dweeby. But whenever I play it live, or it's one of those that people sort of come up singing it to me, and it's become sort of my signature track now. Again, and it's very Rossi influence. Sort of, any Quo fans sort of like Rossi stuff and that sort of style thing, then they should go and check it out. But yeah, I'm on over the streaming services. I've got my social media pages, and it's on YouTube.
Well, I do wish you all the best with it. It's a great album. I recommend people go and check it out. And your name is Dan Ashplant, just to know. So that's Ashplant. Have I pronounced that correctly?
You have pronounced that correctly. You're probably one of the only people to. Some of the words over the years is quite comical, but well done.
Thank you. And thanks, Dan, for being on the podcast today.
Not a problem. Anytime. And I could sit here for hours and talk about Quo and never get bored of it. So, no, thank you for having me.